we found our marker, we found our mark with a marker float, and the next thing we want to do is to bait the spot up. The easiest and best way of spodding at any range really, apart from catapult range obviously, is via a spod. This is the TB1 spod, the largest spod that Fox do. It's very aerodynamic. It's got interchangeable nose cones for varying light conditions, so you can be assured that the spod's on the surface and it's released its load. The holes that run the length of the body of the spod itself are there so the water is forced through the spod and it'll eject the bait once it hits the surface of the water, so you're not reeling in a full spod, and there's nothing more frustrating than that. First thing we're going to do then is load up the spod. Now, when you load a spod, it's quite a time-consuming exercise spodding out a load of bait, and the temptation is to fill the spod as much as you possibly can. Unfortunately, when you do that, the spod will become unstable in flight, so you need to leave about 3/4 of an inch at the top of the spod, just so that all the weight is to the front and it will fly correctly. With the holes in it, you can load most anything into it. People are very loath to put round boilies in because they think they'll get stuck in the spod, but if you put the boilies in this instance with a little bit of hemp and a little bit of response pellets, then they'll be ejected from the spod very easily. So we'll go through the process of filling the spod. Put in the amount of bait you want, and you'll notice I'm not filling this 3/4 of an inch from the top. I'm leaving a little bit more than that because down here are some dampened pellets, dampened enough just so that they'll bind together. So basically I've left an inch and a half at the top of the spod. Get hold of some moistened pellets, give them a squeeze, and put it in the top of the spod. First thing that does is to concentrate the weight of the load into the nose of the spod, and secondly it avoids spod spill. You'd be quite surprised how much bait is lost out the back of a spod once it's cast. Not only is that a waste of bait, it's giving the carp another area of bait because it will drop in the same place every time for it to concentrate on, when you want it solely to concentrate on the area that you're baiting. And that is the spod ready to go. Obviously the first thing we need to do when you consider spodding it is to be tooled up with the correct equipment. There's no point in having a rod that isn't capable of casting a spod that could weigh 6 or 7 ounces, and it needs to be able to do that safely. So let's take a look at the rod to begin with then. This is an FX 12 foot 4 3/4 pound spod rod, and it is powerful enough to punch spods out at immense ranges, it really is. And is absolutely ideal for the job. It's coupled again with a big pit reel. Now that might seem a little bit of a heavy item considering this thing could be in your hand for hours on end while you're spodding. That is more than made up for by the retrieve of a big pit reel. It will retrieve line so much quicker, consequently the spod's coming back into your hand quicker, and the quicker you can recycle it back out into the pond. Again, the same with the marker rod. I use the lightest braid I can possibly get away with. This is 10-pound braid on here, and the reason is you're never going to have to play a fish on it. All it is there to do is to keep you connected to the spod while it flies through the air, and obviously for retrieval. You can't cast something that weighs 6 or 7 ounces with 10-pound line. So on it I have a 30-pound braided leader. A braid is important, I feel, for spod fishing when you're baiting up with a spod, because it enables you to compress the rod fully and then getting the best out of the rod. Make sure there's at least 4 or 5 turns of leader on the reel when you're in position to cast. On the end of that leader is a little clip to make it easy. If you want to change the size of the spod that you're using, you can do it very, very quickly. And obviously, in this instance, the TB1 spod is on the end. Same with marker float fishing. You're going to be repeatedly casting with braid. and it can do some terrible damage to your fingers. You need to protect your casting finger, again either with a finger stool or, as in this case, with a casting glove. And you're ready to go. Okay, we're all geared up and the spod's ready to go. The marker float's in position. The first thing you need to be able to do when you're spodding is to make sure that you're reasonably accurate. I actually like to spread bait out a little bit because a carp that's moving between mouthfuls is a lot more easy to catch than one that is just staying static on one spot. And the spod mix will drift out of the spod anyway, so it's going to be a fairly good spread, but you need to have it fairly accurate. The first thing I'll do is load up the spod and cast at the marker float. Once I'm happy with the range it's at, once again, the same as the marker float work, find the line clip on the reel and put it in the reel. You can then retrieve the spod and fill it up, and away you go, and you get into the rhythm of getting your bait applied. One other bonus of that is you can actually leave that in the clip, and by marking up the rods that you're fishing with and the spod rod, at night when you reposition your hook bait accurately, you can also bait on top of it accurately. Look beyond the marker float onto the horizon at something like a tall tree, a telegraph pole, whatever, something that's permanently there. Don't choose a car because it might drive off, and you can cast at that all day long, even at night, and everything's nice and accurate. Right, time to get some bait in the pond.
Push the grading towards you a bit. Yeah, I know.